Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another 2 rounds here at Gavra Racing for the Weekend 2 League here at the Spielberg circuit of the Red Bull Ring. I'm Jack TM53, your commentator, as always, here for Tier 2 and Tier 1, of course, later this evening. And what a circuit we will be racing around in just a few moments' time. Drivers already out on track. A couple of them have already set lap times as USD Toy TA, who has set the provisional running so far, but still quite a lot of drivers yet to set in a couple of flying laps. Now, but before we turn our attention fully to the on-track action, I just want to run through the championship standings. Now, you can see there's a few drivers missing this evening. So we got a little bit of a sort of dilapidated grid as opposed to usual, and that's because there's a few external events going on. There's the British Open, of course, that is going on at the moment. It's Sunday today, so that's the last day of play there, and a few other drivers who we already know are going to be here this evening, which includes our championship leader, Antzar. So I'm going to run through the standings, the top 5. Antzar leads the way on 101 points. He did get a time penalty last week, did Antzar, thanks to a collision early on in the race, but he managed to extend his gap, so he still got that point. So he's on 101 points. Then bit of a gap back to the steps in second, is on 56. USD Toy TA is third on 48. J-Dog, who's another absentee this evening in the Alpine, is on 43. And Spannel is fifth on 38 points. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, just a quick run through of those top 5 teams. Alfa Romeo are on 111 with McLaren second on 75. Now, both McLarens are in this evening, so a good chance for them to close the gap to Alfa Romeo in the championship standings. Haas are on 58 as well, so again, both of the Haas cars are in this evening as well, so good chance for them to close the gap. Alpine are on 51 in fourth, and Williams are on 39 points. So that is the situation for the standings, and also a great opportunity for someone to go and take their first race win of the season. Ant, who'd already won the opening 4 races, and we're now racing for number 5 and number 6 here at Spielberg. Cable Monkey has joined, which is good to see, because he's out on circuit. But Cable Monkey and all the other drivers, they'll be fighting for their first win tonight of the season. Hopefully they'll be able to do that. I know that the Steps will be particularly keen to close that gap down the championship. At the moment, he's about 40 odd points behind. He really needs to start making some inroads. And with Antzar being out around in his other commitments that he has, unfortunately, that will give him the chance to close that gap down. But whether he can take 2 wins is another matter. There are a number of drivers out there who could spoil the party, including our current pole sitter, USD Toy TA, who's had so many pole positions this season in the Haas. He was a double pole sitter last week in Qatar. He finished 4th in both races thanks to a few mistakes. So he will be hoping that he can improve on that and maybe take a race win. Steps is there second. Great effort from Spannel in third on a 1 minute 4.9. Only 3 drivers in the 1 minute 4s. You got Fake Knutson in the Red Bull. Harren Ali, who showed some good speed last week but didn't get the results he wanted in the end. Ricky in 6th place. He's continuing his improving form, is Ricky. It's good to see him, you know, getting some points on the board and challenging for the top 5 in the Drivers' Championship. You've got Kobe P, again, another driver who seems to be getting himself acquainted. JB Surreal, after his double podium last week, he was fantastic around Qatar. Can he improve on that? The 2 boys together, Sick Boy and Tutty, in the 1 minute 5s, and Mikey, the last driver, in the 1 minute 5s. You got Milo Bello, who hasn't set a representative lap time, T-Money and Cable Monkey, who's just got out on track. Now, we're following one of the Red Bulls currently, and that looks like it's T-Money at the moment who we're following. So he's about to go around these final 2 corners. He's already on a lap, is T-Money. He's just going through turn 10 now, the final corner on this 4.3 kilometre circuit. And he does a 1 minute 6.1, so just an outlap. Well, I say an outlap, a sighter lap for him. But hopefully we can ride on board with the man in pole position. Gav, if you're listening, go over to USD Toy TA, who's on 1st place at the moment. He's going to come towards the line and set a lap. So here we go then, a lap of Spielberg here at the Red Bull Ring. He breaks at the 100 metre marker Fourth gear for turn 1 on the throttle, nice and early from the Italian. Up the turn 2, which isn't a corner realistically in an F1 car, but it's completely flat out, and he has to brake just after the 100-meter marker for turn number 3. Nice and steady through the second gear, and he's gone on the power again, nice and early from the Italian. Turn 4 is relatively straightforward, but you've got to watch the rears that you don't lock them. Downhill taken as a Red Bull. I think that's Team Money in front of him. Team Money's got to get out of the way, which he does. Not in the best place, but he out of the way and didn't impede him too much. Turn 6, fifth gear on a left-hander. There's an AlphaTauri playing in the sand over there. And then again, another long sweeping left-hander, but USC Toy not troubling the apexes there. He did go fastest in the first sector. Now the last 2 corners of the circuit, very fast corners. Nice and committed through turn 9. Down a couple of gears for the final corner for the Italian. What will this lap time be for USC Toy? It's quicker again on 1 minute 4.3. 300ths of a second faster than what he'd managed earlier, but the steps fight back in that McLaren, and that is a way to announce yourself in this championship fight. Both of them have a glorious opportunity, the front two, to really close that gap down to Antzar. Ricky there in third, so the Haas team have 2 very competitive drivers. JB Surreal is also up to 4th, so that's good for him. Good to see JB Surreal again finding a bit more improved form recently, and Ricky, that's a great effort. Whether he can manage a podium, we'll have to wait and see. Spanel just going quite slowly, getting out of the way. Kobe P has just completed a lap in the 1 minute 4s. Puts him in 7th position. Well, can we see a driver get into the 1 minute 3s? That would be impressive. Showing really the speed of these cars in terms of in the game and the setups that the drivers use. The official fastest lap record in Formula 1 around Austria is a 1 minute 5 set by Carlos Sainz back when he drove for McLaren in 2020. So the driver's already into the 1 minute 4s. Can we see a 1 minute 3 from anybody? As Cable Monkey, late to the session, gets himself in the top 10 with 1 minute 5.3. It's a good effort from the Mercedes. His teammate is a few tenths up the road from him, but in 3rd place. And Aaron Alley's been threatening a race win this season. Can he manage that number 7 out on circuit? 7 going on 30 for the Mercedes. A couple of drivers just coming back into the pits. Spanel not one of those drivers. He's a 10th and a half up on his first lap. We're following one of the McLarens, which is Sick Boy. He's got to get his braking point right down to 1st gear for the McLaren. I've not seen that so far into turn 4, but clearly doing something a little bit different to everyone else. Sweeping left-hander turn 6. He's not improving at the moment, is the McLaren driver. Spanel is. He's going a couple of attempts quicker. And Sick Boy is actually going to go into the pit. So Spanel will be the next driver to come and set a lap time in 6th place in the Williams at the moment. Spanel always one to try something different with the strategy. You don't normally see him this high up in qualifying. And that's put him into 4th place. Another improvement, really positive for the Williams team. They'll be chuffed with that. Bit of a gap between the teammates across different teams. You can see the 2 Williams, 4th and 13th. You can see the 2 AlphaTauri, 6th and 14th. The Red Bulls, 8th and 11th, a little bit closer there. The Mercedes are 3rd and 9th, so quite a gap appearing for the drivers, I feel. But most of the teams back into the pits now. Fake Knutson on a lap in the Red Bull, as is Tutty Boy. In the 1 minute 5s is Tutty Boy. He's going to need to find some time to get into the 1 minute 4. He's going to need to find nearly 7/10ths. He's not far away from a top 10 starting slot if he can hook up the middle sector of the lap. Arguably, oh, as I say, Tutty Boy just leaves the back end, and that's a spin. Fake Knutson carries on his way. Fake Knutson, though, is flying at the moment in the Red Bull. He's half a second up. This is a good lap if Fake Knutson can hold on to this. We're watching the AlphaTauri at the moment. I'm following the Red Bull in 8th place. just going to watch to see what the Red Bull does. It's a 1 minute 4.4. That's a good effort from our pre-season winner, Fake Nuts, and that is a time to shout about. The Red Bulls back near the front again. Milo Bello is improving. Looking like he's struggling a little bit with confidence, is the AlphaTauri at the moment. He's going to come around this final corner. He's not going to be troubling the drivers in front of him yet, but maybe just building his way up to get into a better rhythm. That's a 1 minute 7, so he's a second behind Mikey at the moment. But we have less than 5 minutes to go now, 4.5 minutes to go in the session. The drivers preparing themselves for another qualifying lap. Italy Toy TA is going to be the first of the front runners to go for this. Still following Milo Bello at the moment. Hopefully, if Gavra is listening, we can follow you, Italy Toy, in second place at the moment. Approaches turn 1. He's got a Williams just coming out of the pits. That's Mikey, who gets out of the way. Comes out of the turn 2 and on the brakes. Turn 3. He's a 10th up at the moment. That's a good, solid start from you, Italy. One of the Mercedes getting that all wrong. I think that's Cable Monkey. But you, Italy's got to keep up this progress. It's a really good opening sector. Spots his braking point. A little bit wide out of turn number 4, but not the end of the world. Not going to lose much time with that. Down to 5th gear. Keeps his car nice and a little bit tighter than before. He's not improving as much, and he's still struggling to get that Haas turned in through turns 6 and 7, just missing the apex both times. Nice and committed, and that is going to be an invalidated qualifying lap, I would imagine. He's carried on with his lap, so maybe it isn't, and he does improve. Incredibly, that wasn't an invalidated lap for the Italian, but he's gone quicker, but it's not enough. He's still second. And the Steps take a first race win this season. Now that would be impressive. There's Mikey in the pit lane, broken his front wing somehow. But we're not going to concentrate on that. We're going to be looking at everybody else who is preparing now their outlaps. Ricky has stopped on circuit, so he's not actually damaged anything. He's just getting out of everybody's way. First of those drivers to go onto the flying laps will be Milo Bello. So we are now in the final few minutes of this session. Milo Bello will be looking for more time. He needs to find a second and a bit to get himself off the bottom step in qualifying. He's got one of the McLarens further behind. That's Sick Boy and the other AlphaTauri of JMB Surreal. Let's watch this sector time come up as he comes to sector 2. Melo certainly looking a little bit more confident this time around. He's really pushing the track limits. In fact, I think he's backed out of it. Yeah, he's just backed out of it there as Melo Bello. So Sick Boy will be the next car in line to set a lap time. Milo might be able to recover some energy if he's clever enough, but Sick Boy's not improving at the moment. Not finding the lap time that he needs. Ricky is. He's in 6th at the moment. There's a yellow flag out there, but I think that's just for a slow car. Ricky will be the first driver then to set a legitimate lap time on these final runs here at Austria. Coming towards the line is Ricky. It's an improvement, but no position improvement. What about JMB Surreal? Is he going to make any improvements? No, because he's going on to another lap. So he decides to back out of the previous one. He'll have another effort. It's Mikey who's going to go across the line next. He's going on to a flying lap. Spanel the same. So there's just a few cars I'm flicking through to see who's actually on a lap. You Italy Toy is on a lap, and he is improving. Can he take pole? He can't. He tried again, but he wasn't quite there. New Italy Toy is not going to improve on that lap. We've got the next car coming up is going to be Harren Ali. And then the Steps, who's just behind him with Fake Nuts. And so the top 3 of the top 5 all trying to share the same bit of road. Out of the final corner, Harren isn't going to improve. What about the steps? No improvement from him. Fake Knutson is going onto a lap for himself. And the steps has actually gone round again, so he's decided to go for another lap. Kobe P up there in 4th place. Great effort from him. Harren getting out of the way. So a number of drivers who I thought were going on to laps, they abandoned them and went again. So it'll be Mikey and the Williams who'll be the next driver who is on a final lap here. This is it for quali. Oh, he gets it all wrong at the final corner, and that's game over for Mike. He is not going to improve. What about his teammate into the pits? He's had enough. Cable Monkey firing a line through the final corner, nice and neat. Doesn't improve. Ricky is done. In fact, Ricky's gone off. So it'll be the steps who, after all of this, no one seems to be improving at the moment. And I think the steps, unless someone comes out of nowhere, it's going to take pole position. USD Toy's obviously not going to improve, so Ricky, that's it. Wow, that was a little bit of a underwhelming end to the qualifying session, but it is the steps who takes pole position. No one could improve around Austria. The steps finishes on pole, the first pole of the season for the Czech driver. USC Toy is 2nd, Fake Knutson 3rd, Kobe P in 4th. Great effort from the Alfa to start in 4th place on the 2nd row of the grid. Harren 5th, Spanel in 6th, Ricky in 7th place. JMB Surreal in 8th position, the last of the drivers in the 1 minute 4s. Cable Monkey in 9th with Sick Boy rounding out the top 10. Then it's T-Money, Tutty Boy, Mikey and Milo Bello finishing off. The top 13 separated by 1.7 seconds. Milo didn't set a lap time, but I think he was more just getting into the swing of everything, really. Mikey saying in one of the chats that we're part of here for Gavra, saying that he might have a bit of stick drift. Mikey using the controller, so that might be why he's struggling down in that 13th place. But that is confirmation that the steps has got pole position by 0.05 of a second, half a tenth pretty much. And then Fake Knutson carrying on his good form this season. He was a bit unfortunate last week in Qatar was Fake Knutson, but he did win in Italy, and that seems to have just kick-started his confidence for this season. So the Norwegian will be looking to take advantage at the start. Kobe P with his best quality of the season, he'll be very happy with that in the Alfa Romeo, kind of mimicking what the Alfa Romeos did yesterday in Hungary with their good qualifying starts. Let's hope the race start for Kobe is much better than the Alfa Romeos earlier today. Say no more on that for anyone who's not watched the race yet. And everybody else just preparing themselves now, whether we'll have any rain. It was overcast during that session. Did look like it was getting darker. But we'll wait to see how this 35% race will work out here in Spielberg. The mountains always bringing in a bit of chaos in terms of the weather patterns around this circuit. We've seen a number of wet races over the years, but that looks dry to me at the moment. Does look like there's a little bit of haze in the background in terms of heat haze, so we could be on for a change of conditions later, but we are yet to get to that point. So the drivers making their last minute preparations on the grid, making sure their fuel is all in the right position, getting their strategy all in order. The crowd going wild, as you can see on the screen in the top left corner. Not really sure why, we haven't started yet, but if they're that excited, wait until you see what the next few laps are going to be like. But the steps taking his first pole position here with Gavra. That'll be a big boost for him, but can he lead out of turn 1 and most importantly on the run up to turn 3? Can he hold that position? But it's the McLaren of steps on the right hand side and the Haas of USC Toy on the left. He makes the best start, and the race is live from Austria. It's a good start from the front row. Everyone else a little bit slow to react, but those two are going to stay line astern into turn one. Looks like everyone's coming through. Spaniel got it a little bit wrong on the exit. He's avoided chaos and carnage, but Ricky will have a good motor out of turn one. USC Toy is on the outside line, approaching turn number 3, but the steps holds his line. That's Spaniel got that a little bit wrong on the exit. USC Toy does not have the traction to get past the steps, and he stays in second. He is closing that gap down, approaching turn 4. He won't look for a move at this point in the race, though. They keep that nice and clean. But it all looks okay so far. Doesn't look like there's any damage, which is good to see. A number of different strategies already in play. The front two on the medium compound tyres, Fake Knutson on the softs, deciding to do something different. Then it's Harren Ali, then it's Spaniel, Ricky in 6th place. J&B Surreal, Kobe P's dropped a couple of spots in the Alfa Romeo, so he has succumbed, unfortunately, to what the other Alfa Romeo drivers did earlier today. Tutty Boy in 9th, but there's a bit of a gap developing because he's got Cable Monkey all over his rear spoiler at the moment in the fight for the last spot in the top 10. And there's a little bit of a further gap back to the, oh, look at this side by side into turn 1. Team Money trying to go up the inside of Sick Boy. There's Alpine running wide. Milo Bello's got a time penalty already, so that's very early, as one of the McLarens of the steps is just trying to fight for the lead at the moment with USD Toy TA, putting the pressure on. And here we go. On the approach to turn number 4, USD looks to the inside line, but he's not quite close enough. Then it's Fake Knutson, Harren Ali, the gaps all quite close together at the moment. The top 8 all running within a second of one another. Then it's Cable Monkey who's got past Team Money. That's a McLaren having a little bit of a slide. Sick Boy drops to the back of the field. Looks like he did it all by himself. So far, so good then from everyone on circuit. Kobe P right behind Ricky. He won't be pleased with that start, but he has made a spot back. To see if anyone has made any big gains. Kobe P's dropped 3 places. Sick Boy's dropped 4. Everyone else has just gained a spot pretty much. And here comes Kobe P, looking at a move into turn 1, but he's going to wait for DRS, which is activated now. And USC Toy TA is going to fancy his chances for a move into turn 3. He's going to look to the outside line, and he's going to go through, but the steps really muscle him out of the way, and he's just about